week. Perhaps we shouldn't be too surprised. Studies with plants and animals have shown that spring is on average arriving about 2 weeks earlier than it did 30 years ago. And the 30-year average shows us these are the sort of temperatures we might expect normally during late March, between 8 and 10 degrees. But in fact, these are the sort of temperatures we're seeing this afternoon. So it's only coastal areas where we've got a breeze off the sea that will see temperatures that low. For most of us, much, much higher. In fact, as high as 17 degrees across some parts of England and Wales. And it stays relatively warm through the next 5 or 6 days. Perhaps not into the high teens all the time, but certainly a few degrees average for most of us throughout the rest of the week. Mind you, despite the warm days, we have been seeing chilly nights just recently, and last night was no exception. It got down to -5, for instance, at that renowned cold spot at Red Hill. But that's one of the main changes for the coming week. The nights will be milder, as well as the days being that little bit warmer than average. Not much rain around, though. It's a good 2 weeks or more since most of us saw anything significant, and very little on the way, really, for the next 4 or 5 days, and those winds also staying light. So it's pretty good weather for getting out and about and doing those outdoor jobs. Gorgeous this afternoon. That's the only way to describe it, I think. Sunshine pretty well right across the UK. The exception being the northwest of Scotland, a bit more in the way of cloud here, just giving some patchy outbreaks of rain from time to time. And that overnight fog's been a bit reluctant to clear from parts of Northern Ireland. We should just about see the back of it, I think, but it could be towards the middle of the afternoon before it finally clears from here. If we zoom out, though, and take the wider view, you'll see there is some cloud around out towards the southwest of the UK, down towards northern parts of Spain. That's tied in with an area of low pressure, and that's always going to be a bit of a feature, I think, down towards the southwest through the days ahead. That'll tend to throw areas of cloud and perhaps some showery rain up across our part of the world, but with that high never too far away, amounts of rain on the whole look like being fairly small. We'll see the first area, though, coming up through this evening and overnight, running up across the Irish Sea, so perhaps the odd shower for the west of Wales, southwest England, eventually into Northern Ireland, northern parts of England and southern Scotland. But really, if it does any more than dampen the ground, I'll be surprised. One feature, though, tonight is that it will be much milder. For most of us, it's really just Highland Scotland that runs the risk of seeing a touch of frost. Tomorrow, though, you will notice quite a change because there's going to be much more cloud around generally. Still some brightness coming through, but generally much more cloud. And the cloud's still thick enough to give 1 or 2 showery outbreaks of rain. Again, perhaps southern Scotland, northern England, Northern Ireland, the most likely spots to see that. But again, amounts should be fairly small. Temperatures, though, still on the high side, even given fairly cloudy skies. 15 to 17 degrees, fairly typical, with a similar picture into Tuesday and also Wednesday. Again, a largely dry story, just northern parts of Scotland perhaps seeing some patchy rain from time to time. Thursday, still looking at some fine weather around, but maybe just starting to see a little bit of a change as we head through towards the end of the week. More unsettled weather in the west. Now back to John.